trapped in a glass cage and marked for a transfer she did not understand. The alien girl counted the seconds to a terrifying fate, until a human voice cut through the noise and said, very softly, "I'm here to get you out." The room was too bright. White panels washed the world flat, as if light could erase what the syndicate meant to do. Sierra Velen stood inside a cylinder of glass that hummed with a low field barrier, palms pressed to the seam where the door should have been. There was no seam, no handle, only her reflection, and the twin glints of her dragons coiled at her feet. Ash lay like a strip of living iron across the floor grill, tail tapping once each time the barrier pulsed. Lumen perched higher, claws set into a vent lip, eyes pale gold as lanterns. When Sierra moved, both dragons tracked her heartbeat, the way they had since hatchling days under mountain rain. "Easy," she whispered. Her voice came back thin. The barrier made everything sound farther away. Across the laboratory, masked technicians checked slates and murmured into their mics. Sierra's ears marked details the way a blade marks wood, the shape of their accents, the rhythm of footfalls, the time between pulses in the barrier coil. She had trained for court poise, patience, silence, but not for this. On the intake wall, a screen looped a diagram of an integrated exchange, glowing lines weaving through a silhouette not quite her shape. She did not know what the exchange meant. She only knew it turned her to stillness when she read the word. Permanent. Ash snorted a curl of smoke. "Break. I would if I could." She sent back through the faint threat of their bond. The barrier fuzzed it like rain. A door hissed. New boots entered lighter, quicker, out of step with the others. Sierra did not turn her head. Turning your head told people they mattered. Instead, she watched their reflection find her in the glass. "Subject secured," someone said. "Final prep in 5. Sierra steadied her breath. 5. The new reflection drifted closer, a compact figure. Grease-smeared jacket, hair hidden under a matte cap. The face was not masked. Human, brown-eyed, mouth set like a locked clasp. She stopped 2 meters from the cylinder, as if meeting royalty in a ruined hall. "Hey." The human kept the word small. "Name's Brooke. Don't look at me. Just listen." Sierra's heart clipped against her ribs. Human voices did not sound like the syndicate's, less iron, more road. The barrier lifted Brooke's words and set them inside Sarah's ear. "I'm going to lose the field for 12 seconds, Brooke said. "When it drops, step out and go left." "Not right. Left looks wrong. It's a service corridor. Your dragons go first." "Can they run under infrared?" Sierra let one eyelid lower, the smallest concession. "They can. Good on my count." Someone in the lab laughed at a joke Sierra could not hear. She thought of her mother's hands plaiting her hair before the long journey, of the mountain crest where she swore she would see the trade stars and return with stories, not debts. Ash tapped the grate. 1, 2, 3, then waited. Lumen's tail wrote circles in the air. The barrier hummed, indifferent. Brooke shifted a tool not meant for this place from her sleeve. Its handle had been wrapped in cloth, worn to the shape of a stubborn life. 12 seconds isn't long, she said. But it's longer than 0. Sierra almost smiled. "Who sent you?" Brooke's mouth twitched. "Someone who thinks permanent should never be printed on a living thing." Her eyes flicked toward the side console. "Ready?" Sierra straightened. "I will be." Brooke moved to the panel like a janitor cleaning a stain, casual, invisible. Her fingers found the maintenance seam no one was meant to find. Somewhere under the floor, a relay clicked the way hope does when it remembers its own name. Brooke breathed, then counted under it. 3, 2, 1. The barrier sighed and died. Ash became a streak. Lumen dropped and arrowed left. Sierra stepped, not running, just not staying, the way a river does when the stone finally moves. Brooke fell into step without touching her, voice guiding like a rope in fog. Left, Low beam in 2 steps. Duck. Stop. Footsteps converged behind them. A technician shouted. Alarms lifted their red hands. The corridor ahead narrowed to a throat of wire and shadow. Sierra smelt coolant, and the hard, electrical scent of a system pushed past its design. Brooke. She kept the name quiet. Why risk it? Because I could stand one more day living with regret, but not one more day remembering I walked past a cage. Brooke took a fast look back. Service hatch ahead. Your small 1 lumen, can he slip the latch from the inside? He can. The hatch was a square of dim metal flush with the wall. Lumen squeezed into the finger width between panel and frame, vanished like a spark under water, and a breath later, the hatch clicked. Ash shoved from below. The panel swung into a vertical crawlspace lined with cables. Air moved there stale, but free of the lab's disinfectant sting. Go, Brooke said. Sierra hesitated a half step. You're not coming? I'm right behind you. That was not the same as together. It would have to do. Sierra slid into the gap, shoulders scraping, dragons flowing along her like living commas. The crawlspace angled down. Alarms chased them, blurring from anger to urgency to something that sounded like fear. You make good paths, Sierra said as they crawled. She could not see Brooke. She heard the human's breath measure the turns before the turns existed. My dad was a mechanic, Brooke said. He taught me where buildings keep their secrets. Mine taught me to keep mine, Sierra said, and realized too late how much that sounded like a goodbye. The crawlspace opened into a maintenance bay, a spine of girders above a freight dock. On the far wall, a loading door showed the thin blue of night beyond, the kind that happens between city glow and star waking. Freedom was a rectangle you could draw with your finger. A forklift idled unwatched beneath them. Crates were strapped in stacks, each stamped with a 4-letter code that meant nothing and everything. Sierra tasted the air. It tasted like rain would, if rain had never met a leaf. Brooke's hand appeared at her shoulder. Not touching, merely there, a point for the world to pivot on. We jumped to the gantry, take the ladder, cut across the bay, and we're out, she said. On my mark. Sierra nodded. Mark, they jumped. Metal bit boot. Lumen skittered ahead, ash dropping like a thrown knife to the ladder's midpoint. Sierra climbed, Brooke on the outer rail, moving with a mechanic's ease and a fighter's insistence. At the bay floor, Sierra felt, for the first time in hours, the possibility of afterward. She turned toward the loading door, toward night. A voice rolled through the space, amplified, cold. Subject Valen, hold position. Any further movement triggers containment. Figures stepped from the shadows on the catwalks, syndicate security in matte armor, visors blank. A dozen, then more, rifles rising in a rehearsed flower of threat. The loading door sealed with a hydraulic grief. Ash's tail went hard as iron. Lumen flattened, pupils narrowing to needles. Brooke exhaled, an old, tired sound that asked the world to be fair, and already knew the answer. Sierra set her shoulders, eyes tracking angles, distances, the small, unlikely mathematics of survival. The door was gone. The ceiling was all teeth. The room hummed with the promise of a second cage. Brooke, she said softly. You said 12 seconds is longer than 0. Still true. How many do we have left? Enough, Brooke said. Then, under her breath, almost a prayer, if the lights listen. On the wall behind security, a gray panel flickered, just once, as if winking at a joke no one else could hear. The flicker became a pulse. Every lamp in the loading bay dimmed, brightened, then cut to emergency red. For a heartbeat, the syndicate soldiers froze confused, weapons half raised. Brooke Nolan didn't wait. Run. She snapped. Sierra Valen didn't need telling twice. Ash leapt forward, a streak of molten gray, his tail striking sparks from the steel deck. Lumen darted after him, wings flashing gold in the half-light. Syrah followed, Brooke at her shoulder, boots hammering the metal grating. Shots barked, searing white tracers splitting the dark. The dragons flared wide, their scales refracting the beams. Ash spat a burst of heat that sent one guard stumbling back. Armor steaming. Syrah dove behind a crate stack, gasping. "You said you could make the lights listen." Brooke slid beside her, flipping a switch on the compact tablet strapped to her forearm. "I told them a story about overvoltage," she said. "Turns out, systems love gossip." More alarms blared, higher and faster. Overhead, an automated sprinkler system kicked in, flooding the bay with cold rain. The guards swore and wiped their visors. Sarah's dragons shimmered, almost invisible in the mist. Ash smoke screen. The gray dragon exhaled a low, dense cloud that mingled with the rain, blurring everything into motionless fog. Brooke grinned. "You're good at this." "I had tutors," Syrah said. "Not all of them human." They ducked behind a lift column. Syrah's mind raced maps of air ducts, timing of patrol shifts, the rhythm of the barrier that once held her. The sound of her own blood filled her ears. Brooke was already at the control panel. "The exterior door's sealed," she muttered. "They've locked every exit." Syrah glanced toward the far wall. "There's a cargo chute above the western brace. 10 meters high." Brooke stared. "You can reach that?" "Not alone." Auril and Sambal, no. Ash and Lumen looked at her, understanding dawning between them like old music. Ash crouched low, tail wrapping her ankle. Lumen's wings buzzed once, twice. Brooke nodded. "Then let's do something stupid." Together, they sprinted. The fog parted around them, dragons leaping ahead like shadows made of lightning. The guards regained focus shouts, flashes. The sharp crack of directed energy. Syrah felt the hum of power under her skin, her dragons amplifying it. Her bond with them growing sharper than fear. Ash lunged forward and slammed into the lift rail. The impact sent vibrations through the deck. The gantry above groaned, dropping a shower of sparks that scattered the guards. "Now!" Brooke shouted. Syrah planted one foot on Ash's back, pushed off, and jumped. Lumen met her midair, wings flaring to steady her climb. Brooke ran beneath them, firing a single plasma bolt into the controls. The main lights burst white and died completely. Darkness swallowed the bay, for a few seconds. The world became pure motion. Syrah hauling herself onto the upper brace. Brooke clambering after, dragons circling, from the shadows below. A synthesized voice barked, "Containment breach detected. Deploy secondary interceptors." "That doesn't sound friendly," Brooke panted. "It isn't." Syrah pointed toward the chute. "That's our only path." They slid into the maintenance tube, narrow, half-collapsed, lined with cables and grit. Ash crawled first, Lumen behind. The air was thick and hot, filled with the thrum of distant machinery. "You planned this," Brooke said between breaths. Syrah shook her head. "I imagined it. My people say every escape starts as a story you tell yourself." "Then tell me a good ending," Brooke said. Syrah tried to smile. "One where we make it to open sky." The tunnel bent sharply upward. Ahead, faint blue light seeped through the seams. A wind whispered from above, cooler, freer. Ash stopped. "Something waits," the dragon's voice shivered through her mind, warning. Syrah froze. Lumen's glow dimmed, barely visible. Brooke pressed her hand against Syrah's back. "What is it?" Syrah listened. Beneath the wind, she heard a metallic rhythm, clicks in threes. "Not footsteps, drones, autonomous sentries," she said. "They'll be armed." Brooke cursed softly. "I can jam one frequency. Maybe two. But not all." Syrah's pulse steadied. Fear turned to something cleaner focus. "Then we improvise." The first drone dropped into view, legs scraping the wall. Its sensor cluster flared red. Syrah didn't think. Ash, strike right. Ash's tail whipped, lightning exploding through the shaft. The blast seared the drone midder, but two more appeared immediately. Brooke lifted her wrist pad, thumb-tapping commands, and one of the drones sputtered, smoke rising. Go! She yelled. They climbed faster. Heat rolled down the tunnel as another drone fired blindly, plasma bolts scorching the metal inches from Sarah's hand. Lumen dove back, releasing a blinding flash that overexposed the sensors. The drones screeched, lost in their own light. Brooke reached the top hatch first, forcing it open with a wrench of metal. Sarah now! The elf woman pushed through, dragging herself into a narrow airfield above the compound. The wind hit her face real, sharp, cold stars. That she hadn't seen stars since the cage. Brooke hauled herself out next. That's the outside? Sarah nodded, eyes wide. Yes, but they'll follow. Ash emerged, smoking slightly, eyes narrowed. Not if we fall first, he rumbled in her mind. Before she could ask, the air behind them split with the sound of thrusters. The roof erupted in orange light as pursuit ships rose, scanning the field. Run, Brooke said. They ran over gravel and wire, across a field of forgotten cargo. Lumen flew ahead, tail glowing faintly to mark the path. Alarms still wailed, echoing up into the dawn. Brooke shouted over the noise. There's a ridge. If we reach it, they'll lose radar. Sarah didn't look back. The first shot hit behind them, spraying dirt into the air. A second one sliced through Lumen's flight path. The dragon cried out but kept going. Ash flanked them, smoke curling off his scales. They're gaining. Not for long, Brooke said. She reached into her pack, pulled out a small device, something like a cracked sphere of light. What is that? Sarah asked. A blackout seed. Used for sabotaging relay towers. Brooke smirked. Let's hope it likes open fields. She hurled it behind them. The orb hit the ground, cracked, and expanded into a wave of magnetic distortion that rolled through the valley. The syndicate drones froze midder, lights flickering, engines cutting out. One by one, they fell like dying stars. Sarah turned panting. You just bought us time. Brooke wiped sweat from her face. Then we'd better use it. Ahead, the ridge loomed dark and high. Beyond it lay a forest and the promise of distance. Sarah could already taste the air changing. But somewhere behind them, deep in the wrecked facility, the central systems rebooted. A voice, cold and measured, whispered into the comms. Initiate recovery protocol. Deploy the hunter. Sarah stopped mid-stride, a chill cutting through the dawn air. Her dragons hissed, wings folding tight. Brooke looked at her, eyes narrowing. What's wrong? Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. The hunter isn't a drone. The ridge ahead cut the sky into two halves, one pale with early light, the other bruised with smoke from the syndicate facility below. Sarah Velen climbed the last stretch, lungs raw from running, her dragon circling low and anxious. Brooke Nolan followed close, one hand pressed against her ribs, her breath coming in short, sharp bursts. They reached the crest and dropped behind a line of jagged rocks. From here, the valley spread below them, dotted with the wreckage of fallen drones. For a moment, the silence felt like safety. Then Sarah's dragons went still. Ash's tail stiffened. He comes, Brooke frowned. What does that mean? Sarah didn't answer. She was listening past the wind, past the cooling metal of the broken machines, to the rhythm beneath it. Not footsteps, not engines. Something heavier, slower. The air itself trembled, like the ground was remembering fear. The hunter, she said finally. A shadow moved in the smoke. Then another. Out of the ruin stepped a figure taller than any human, armor curved like the carapace of some deep-sea beast. Its face was smooth metal, expressionless. Beneath the plates, light flowed green and alive, a false heartbeat pulsing through an artificial body. Brooke swallowed. That's not a drone. It was human once, Sarah whispered. The Syndicate remakes them. They keep the memories that hurt most and strip the rest away. The hunter raised its head as if hearing her across the distance. Then it moved fast. Sarah grabbed Brooke's arm. Down. A plasma burst screamed past them, burning a trench into the ridge. Stone vaporized into white dust. Ash leapt skyward, releasing a burst of lightning that clawed at the hunter's armor. The creature staggered but didn't fall. Instead, it looked up and fired again. Ash tumbled, wings seared, crying out in pain. Ash! Sarah's voice cracked. Brooke was already moving. We can't stay here. They slid down the far side of the ridge, landing hard among scrub and shards of glass. The forest lay ahead, dark and waiting. The first trees were close, just close enough to give them cover, but the hunter was faster than the wind. It hit the ridge's edge and dropped, landing in a crouch that cracked the ground. Sarah turned, raising her hand. The runic lines across her skin glowed faintly, a memory of old magic, the kind her people swore to forget when they joined the Syndicate's alliance. The air around her shimmered. Brooke stared. You can do that? I was told not to, Sarah said. Now seems a good time to disobey. She thrust her palm forward. The light on her skin burst outward in a spiral, half energy, half song. It struck the hunter square in the chest, halting its advance. For a moment, its armor glowed red, cracked and then sealed itself again. The hunter's voice came through the distortion, mechanical but still carrying something human. You are property of the Syndicate. Return now. Brooke drew her pistol. She's not property. And I'm tired of being polite. She fired 3 rounds into the hunter's shoulder joint. The shots barely dented the armor, but it made the thing flinch, just enough. Ash, wounded but unbroken, dove from above, slamming into the hunter's back. The impact knocked it to one knee. Lumen followed, unleashing a burst of radiant flame that lit the valley in gold. Now! Brooke shouted. Sarah focused all her strength on the light between her hands. She felt the dragon's energy pouring into her, the bond between them burning thread. Together, they released it, one blinding surge that tore the hunter's armor apart in a shockwave of heat and sound. When the light faded, the hunter lay still, its chest plate open, the green glow inside flickering. A human face stared back at them, old, scarred, half forgotten. Brooke lowered her gun. God, he really was one of us. Sarah knelt beside the ruined body, her voice trembling. Once, before the Syndicate decided compassion was inefficient, the hunter's single human eye moved, barely. Run, they will send more. Then the light in his chest went out. For a long moment, no one spoke. Ash landed beside her, scales blackened but eyes bright. He chose not to strike again, the dragon murmured. Perhaps something of his heart remained. Sarah nodded slowly. Then he died free. Brooke placed a hand on her shoulder, this time without hesitation. Come on. We have to move before they track the explosion. They entered the forest, its canopy swallowing the morning light. The ground softened, damp with moss and mist. For the first time since her capture, Sarah could breathe. Where will you go? Brooke asked. Anywhere the Syndicate is not, Sarah said. And you? Brooke smiled faintly. Wherever someone needs a cage opened. Sarah glanced at her, studying the dirt on her face, the calm in her eyes. You're a strange kind of human. Good, Brooke said. The universe needs more of those. The dragons flew ahead, wings stirring the mist into ribbons. The forest opened to a clearing, and beyond it, the horizon blazed with the first full light of dawn. Sarah looked back once toward the smoking valley, toward the place that had meant to unmake her. She felt no hatred, only a quiet, steady promise. Humanity saved me, she said softly. Now it's my turn to return the favor. Brooke nodded. Then let's make the galaxy remember what compassion looks like. Together they walked into the light elf. Dragons and human leaving the ruins and their shadows behind. Subscribe for more epic sci-fi stories. Let the stars guide your next adventure.